What is up, everybody? Welcome to Perspective Gaming. I'm your host, Flame078, logging in from the real world to give you perspective, or more specifically, getting perspective. This video series tackles something that's been on my mind, and then I spell out my takes, then afterwards we have a discussion in hopes to better understand ourselves. Today's topic, the buzz around cross-platform play. Let's get to it. So crossplay is now in the circle of debates once again amongst the gaming community. This time, the game creating the buzz is none other than the rising superstar of a game that is Fortnite. Epic Games is now literally banking everything on this title. They're pushing for their free-to-play Battle Royale hard. It's coming to our phones, for Christ's sake. Like, seriously, the gamble is on. With this announcement, Epic Games said that they're shooting for cross-play with the phones and all other systems. And soon after that, Xbox came out and said that they're on board as well. This means that this game can be played across PC, Xbox, Android, iOS at some point in the future. The only ones missing from the list are Nintendo and Sony. Well, on Nintendo's end, the game is still not released there, so there you go. But Sony? The big dogs? The dominators of this generation? Nada. No confirmation of any kind of their moves or their intentions on this situation. And to be honest, it's not really a surprise. Sony is killing it right now, and everyone knows it. They're outselling the Xbox, they have amazing exclusives, they're making great moves and strides in the VR department. They really have no reason to consider to try to play nice with others, or to please their consumers. They have them locked, and they want to keep them that way. But before going on this whole Sony tirade in your keyboards, please keep in mind that this stance is not uncommon. Xbox pulled this crap last generation when they were on top, and there were also talks about crossplay. And just like now, with Sony giving pretty shitty excuses, Xbox gave pretty shitty excuses then too. So it's not a Sony thing, it's being on the top type thing, and I don't want to share my toys type thing. And honestly, that kinda sucks. I don't think your commitment to being consumer friendly should be tied to how much money you're making, or how you're doing in the public's perception. I mean, it might be naive of me, but I think you should strive to be pro-consumer at all times, but hey, what do I know? Now, looking in deeper, is this even possible? Can crossplay even be a thing? The first thing that comes to mind, just from the announcement of mobile launches that I'm concerned about, is how the heck is playing on the phone going to be in any way remote fair to anyone else playing with a controller or even a mouse and keyboard? Like what? I've done mobile gaming sometimes, especially with shooters, and it kinda sucks, and I'm total ass, so I can't imagine this being a pleasant experience. Balance is something big, and it's something that the debate of this topic always touches upon. How can you create a fair experience for all parties involved? Especially in the shooter genre, how will you balance the advantages someone, say on PC, has over a console player? The mouse alone is huge. The range of movement and the faster detection from a mouse will give the edge over any console player any day. Not only that, there are setting adjustments you can do on PCs that can say hide some graphics or boost some setting to hide certain shades and gives them an edge when playing multiplayer games. Some of these things and some of these settings are locked down for their console counterparts. Now you're adding phones into this? I mean, as a developer myself, I'm excited to see how they tackle this problem, but as a gamer, it leaves me very skeptical. Right along that, you need to start considering the servers for this game, or for games in general. The game servers need to be adaptable to a ton more machines at the same time. Just break it down, say on the PC side for a second. Every PC is different specs, different capabilities, what they can and can't do. And the servers sometimes struggle keeping it fair for PCs, like a low-end budget PC can get killed by a high-end PC just depending on how the server treats it. That's why most games have PC requirements. Now you add into the mix consoles, which are lower forms of PC or locked down versions of PC with set specs, and now you have that hardware to balance out. And now you're going to add phones, which are weaker than that? On a technical scale, this entire concept from this end seems like an entirely crazy nightmare. So it sounds like technically this little endeavor seems complicated and maybe more of a dream than a reality. Well, Yeah, no. Nothing I have said so far is technically impossible. All I have said is that it's really, really hard. Impossible and very hard are two very different things. With a talented group of software engineers, I do think it's possible and I think it can happen. But it's going to take everyone on board to contribute. And that means everyone. Engineers from the PC, Xbox, from Epic, from game studios, from mobile, from Sony. Everyone needs to pull in the resources together to even attempt to make this work, because it can't be done on its own. But to be realistic, there are still even more complications and more problems that need to be solved, or at least reduced, to even make this a reality and to even consider it. Let's talk about friend lists. This is something that comes to mind, at least for me, in terms of how would we fix this? How in the world do you manage that? Each system has their own way of doing it, and their ecosystems are set up for that. But the premise of cross-play is that I can play from my PS4 and play with someone who's on Xbox. In order to do that, I needed to be able to find them in some way, shape, or form. Now I can think of two ways to solve this problem and to tackle the friend list issue. The first way seems natural considering the way this is going in the direction everything needs to go. So in terms of an end game, I would see this being some kind of system to work, and that is a unified friend list system that is shared across all platforms. Meaning one system for all gaming consoles and PCs and phones. And there are bits and pieces here and there that kind of combine a lot of things. On PC you have Steam, which is a large contributor of games and allows you to circle up a friend very easily, though some of it is counteracted by the fact that EA likes to have their own shit. I'm looking at you, Origins. For consoles it's a bit easier. You have one system for each console, Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus, but that is the problem. And I already mentioned Sony's reluctance to help out, and that cooperation is needed for this approach to work. Xbox and Sony and everyone else would have to fundamentally change their way their ecosystems work and transition into this one unified system. And that, in my opinion, is a lot harder and a lot more troublesome to get done, considering the stances of all the companies now, and considering the technical requirements to even create such system to work so smoothly and to encompass all the features it needs. Though I would say systems like Discord or party chats that encompass a lot of things and encompass a lot of platforms would be a good step in the right direction and try to get the one system for all. But I would need to look into that and see how feasible that is and how that could integrate with the console and PC ecosystems. The second way, and in my opinion the most plausible way to get this done, and at least to get us in the right direction, is for Epic Games, or to break it abroad, the game in question who wants to do crossplay has to be the one in charge of controlling the friend group system. Your first question might be, but they already do that. Yes and no. They do allow you to do invites and look at your friends from the game, but that is done because they hook up into the console or into the PC's game system. They don't have the friend system for themselves. It's tied to that original system. What I am talking about is that the game has to keep track of its own users. We already have to make Epic game accounts to play the game. With one Epic account you can play on all platforms. Well, except for Xbox, because reasons. Come on Epic Games, please fix that. Or Xbox, please allow that. And because of that, they can just simply do this singular friend system that Epic Games controls. With that, the game is in charge of holding a unified list of all users. Then that means the users don't have to worry about the source of where their friends are playing. They just know that they can play the game. And then boom, it becomes a lot easier to manage. But it also puts a lot more work on the game itself because now they have to implement this system instead of having someone else do it for them. But it's something that's not uncommon. Just look at Battlegrounds on PC. They just released a friend list system, or upgraded the friend list system on their latest PC version. So games owning their friend list is not something out of the question or too hard to do. So it seems like a first good iterative step to get us to that unified end goal of the global friend list system. In the ideal world that the crossplay is striving for, games can be played from any console and everyone can play together. I do, once again, think the latter of my suggestion would be the best first iterative step into achieving this. I mean, in this day and age where games' lifecycle are now tied to their player base, and once that goes, it's time to move on. A system that allows an entire player base to be unified in one central location, or at least be together, I think will allow for our games to have longer life cycles. Technical issues aside, there are still concerns left. Most of the stuff I brought up now have only affected us and really the game developers. But one has to consider, what does this do for the publishers, the big guys, the Sonys, the Xboxes? I mean, we win because now we have choice and the barriers we once had are gone. I am fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to game almost anywhere. I have a nice PC rig, I have an Xbox One, and I also have a PS4. I know, no Switch, I know, but I'm working on it. I have choice to where to play my games. And I've said this multiple times before, and people who have multiple consoles or multiple game platforms will tell you this. They will tend to choose their games based on who they can play with. If most of their friends are playing game on X, they'll go to X. If not, they will go to Y. It's pretty simple. And that is the reality for a majority of the gamers. Not everyone has my fortune or luck to have all the systems. So with that barrier gone, gamers end up winning. Game developers win regardless because they win when their games sell. And if their games sell, then they win. And if people buy their games because now they can play with anyone without restriction, then boom, more sales. They're good. But what about the publishers? What about the big guys? The ones that fork over the big bucks to make the games? The companies that produce the consoles? What do they get if cross-platform becomes a staple thing? Well, it's hard to say, and I will lead this by saying this is just conjecture and I'm merely speculating for what I think is a possibility or what could happen. For publishers like EA and Activision, they kind of already love the cross-platform play, and they've been doing this for years already. When have you ever seen an EA game for just one console or just on PC? Or an Activision game or an Ubisoft game?
Don't worry, I'll wait.
And here's where I dive into speculation territory. And that is, I don't see how this would change anything. Crossplay would not eliminate exclusives. It would not eliminate the need for two consoles. And just think of it like this. People still buy what they want. Just look at Android and iPhone. People will choose their device because that's what they like. It's our choice, consumer choice, correct? But that does not mean it should limit our access to what a phone should do. Yeah, phones come in all shapes and sizes, but they all do the same thing. I can text and call an iPhone user, no problem. I can still do things with my phone. Yes, there are some exclusive phone perks that you get on Android or on iPhone exclusively, but nothing that is fundamental to a phone is left out. Crossplay for gaming is the same thing. We would still buy the games and systems that we want and get the unique things each console offers, just like we do with phone apps and etc. etc. You would still have the need to release game exclusives, just like exclusive apps that only work on, say, Android or iOS, like FaceTime and Duo. All we want is to have access to the fundamentals of gaming, and that is if it's a multiplayer experience that we get to play with anyone we want, just like I can call anyone I want, no matter from what phone it is. This is the world we are talking about. And in this world, I can't see any losers. So why prevent it? So my message to you, Sony, please stop being dickheads. Stop with the bullshit excuses. And if you're going to continue this track, then be honest. You don't want to play nice because you don't want to quote unquote lose money. Though I personally think your concern over money is unnecessary. You're not going to lose anything. You have everything to gain here. In a time where you have been doing things right, you can't be flipping us off now. You started this generation by telling us you are for the gamers. So if that's the case, then start being for the gamers. Listen to us. I think we as gamers want crossplay. Allow us to take this first step. You have nothing to lose. Woo! Look at that, you reached the end of this video. I'm glad you tuned in for this installment of Getting Perspective. There was a lot to take in this time, so I would love to get your thoughts. Am I naive in thinking that there are no losers in a crossplay world? Was there any technical hurdles that I missed or that I overlooked? What do you think should be done? Are you for or against crossplay? Let me know in the comment section down below and let's start a conversation and give ourselves perspective. I also left links to articles and videos that I read and watched to help me get perspective for this video, so I highly recommend you check those out after this. If you like this video, please hit that like button. I'm moving to a weekly set release schedule, so come back on each Tuesday and Thursday at 5 PM Eastern to watch another video. If you like the videos I put here, please hit that subscribe button. I would be happy to hear suggestions on anything I talk about, or if you have a video suggestion. And if you do have suggestions, follow me on Twitter. My handle will be in the description box down below, and use the hashtags GettingPerspective and PerspectiveGaming. This is Perspective Gaming. I'm your host, Blame078, logging off for now, and until next time, adios!